Welcome back to our video series covering the commissioning process of a brand new Schneider XW Pro solar system. In this video, we're going to cover the Xanbus networking concerns with a brand new system. So to get started, we're going to open our web browser and log in to Insight Local using the local IP address of the Insight home device on this system. Whenever you log into a new Insight Edge device, you will most likely get this security warning. This is because Insight Edge devices currently, as of this recording, do not have a self-signing SSL certificate. This is nothing to worry about, but to get past this, we just click on Advanced and accept the risk and continue. Every browser will be a little bit different, but that's how it's going to work. Now you can see we're at the login screen for our Insight home. And as we select devices, we can see we've got two XW6848-21s. Those are the XW Pro inverters. We've got an MPPT60 charge controller, a second MPPT60 charge controller, a system control panel, actually two of them, and an auto gen start. This is a fairly typical off-grid system using the XW Pro and the MPPT60s. Now you can see we have several issues because of these red exclamation points. Right now, everything is brand new, fresh out of the box, turned on for the very first time, and everything is at their factory default settings. So as we can see, both inverters think they're a split phase master, which is going to cause some issues with system configuration. Also, you'll notice the 0 at the end of every single device. That's the device ID. Every device on a Xanbus network needs to have a unique device ID in order for the Xanbus networking to work correctly. So these are the issues we're going to tackle in this particular video. The first thing we should do at this point to avoid any future faults is let's put the entire system in standby. This will take the system offline so that we're able to work on it without having any additional faults or warnings. At this point, we'll start addressing the device ID and other system configuration issues. We'll first select the first inverter. Now, as you can see, we have a system configuration fault. Again, this is because everything is at factory defaults right now. So we'll go to the configuration menu, and then let's select advanced. So we're looking at all of the options. And first we need to find out which inverter this is hanging on the wall. If we scroll down to advanced device settings, there's an option called identify enable. If we turn that to enabled and press apply, this will cause the display on this particular inverter to start flashing so we know exactly which inverter it is. And we can see this is the left inverter of the two inverters on the wall. And this is the one we want to have to be the split phase master. So now that we know which it is, we'll turn identify enable off and apply. Now we'll go to multi-unit configuration where we select the inverter mode. Now again, this one we want to be split phase master, which is the factory default setting. So we don't need to change this. So we can close multi-unit configuration. Now let's come down to device instance. This is where we give the inverter a unique name and most importantly, a device number. Because this is going to be the master inverter, I'm going to give this a device ID of 1. And then the device name, this is strictly a cosmetic name. You can name it anything you like. So I'm going to call this XW Pro Master. I'll click on apply, and those settings have been changed, and that's all we need to worry about at this particular point in the commissioning process. So now we'll come back to the top, and now let's go back to devices so we look at the list of all the devices. Now you can see we have XW Pro Master and a device ID of 1. So that inverter's done. Let's move on to the next one. This second inverter, we already know it's the right inverter, so we don't need to do the identify trick with it. But we'll go to configuration, select advanced. Under multi-unit configuration, we're going to change this one to be a split phase slave inverter. We'll hit apply. Now we'll scroll down to device instance. Device name, we'll call this one XW Pro slave, and device number, we're going to make this number 2 because the master was device ID number 1. Apply, and again, that's all we're going to worry about with the inverter at this point. Now we can go back to devices, and we have the master and slave all set up. Now we'll get into the charge controllers. You can see they still have device ID of 0. So I'm going to select the first one. Again, configuration faults because of the device ID conflicts. We'll go to configuration, advanced device settings. We're going to use identify enable to find out which charge controller this is. Now this charge controller is flashing, and it looks like this is the left one on the wall. So I will turn off the identify enable. And under device instance, we're going to give this a device number 3. And now we'll go back to devices, and we can see this is MPPT60 device number 3. And we'll do the same for the next charge controller. Go to configuration, advanced, device instance, and we're going to make this device ID number 4. And with that done, back to devices. Now you can see we have MPPT60 number 3 and number 4. Next, we're going to tackle the AGS, or Auto Gen Start. We'll select it, go to configuration and advanced. Under device instance, we're going to give this a device number 5 and apply. And that's all we're going to worry about at this point. We have 2 system control panels, the SCPs. SCPs are unique and they are hard programmed to a device ID of 0. So we're going to have to leave those as is. So now at this point, we have covered all of the Xanbus network addressing concerns on a brand new XW Pro base system. In our next video, we'll cover firmware updates for the entire system. Thanks for watching.